Okay, so you do agree that there are straight, like, heterosexual relationships where the woman is making the decision and that is healthy for that relationship?
I don't think it's usually healthy. There could be.
But there are?
I'm going to concede that logically there's going to be some.
Okay.
There has to be some relationship somewhere where some fucking simp loser is letting his woman tell him what to do.
I don't think it's that rare.
And he's totally okay with it. Like, I agree. No, it's not rare that they do it. It's rare that they're okay with it. That's what I think. I think that they would prefer not to have that dynamic, even if they have it. So
I think a lot of those relationships, they are not happy.
Yeah, like the women aren't happy either.
Yeah, so
I did talk to a guy like
perfect,
that, and it
perfect.
was
So I
awful.
mean, can I logically accept that such relationships occur? Of course. And that there's some asshole somewhere who just loves that shit? Yes. There's guys who like getting their balls stomped on. I know, because I've had women on here who tell me that they paid them to do it. So clearly there are insane lunatics all over the place who want crazy shit. But who cares? I'm not going to advocate towards any of that, because that's definitely the exception to the norm. The exception to the regular. I think generally, right, if we were to take the whole into consideration, the kind of best family dynamic is cross-generational nuclear. And since it's either cross-generational or nuclear, that because you need a mom and a dad at home, that you're going to have to defer to the man, because generally his job's to protect the family. And he's the one who can do that, is capable of, and the woman usually is not. And so since that's the case, I think he gets to be the symmetry breaker. That seems completely reason-based to me.
Are there any areas in your relationship where you do take your wife's advice? Because, for example, with my husband,
Take her advice all the time.
Okay, I just wanted, I mean, there are some
It goes like
areas-
this. I'm like, honey, I'm about to troll these stupid-ass feminine. What do you think of this tweet?
I have a question for you.
happens every day.
What do you think, like, women's strengths are, like, compared to men?
Their strengths?
Yeah.
Well, in which way?
In every way. Because I feel like a lot of the time, like,
They
when
can have kids.
that's
Are you
not
serious?
necessarily.
Well, I was going to say also earlier.
Yeah, I don't. Well, listen, I'm going to be totally honest with you, and we can
Like, why are you with your
and by the
wife, for
way,
example?
we can debate this right now, and I'm going to enjoy it. So, here's my position: women can have children, men can't. Women are literally better at men than at nothing. Better than men, literally at nothing on planet Earth. However, men have women completely and totally beaten when it comes to force and the application of force.
Did you know that Einstein stopped making discoveries when he left his lady?
Do you know that Einstein was fucking he was fucking a cousin or like a first cousin?
Probably.
Something like this. I'm not kidding.
Wait, Einstein stopped? No, but what was the claim?
He stopped making discoveries when he left his girlfriend or wife, or she left him.
It's actually debated that they were all hers,
Yeah,
too.
exactly.
Okay,
Yeah.
but women are also more nurturing and they're better cared for.
Wait, when did Einstein meet his wife?
I don't know.
No. See,
Before his discoveries.
I used to
It's
think all
verifiable
of this
fact.
shit. I used to think just like you did, right? Well, surely women are more nurturing. And nope. The thing is that externally, the presentation that women are more nurturing, socially, this is much more acceptable that they present themselves as being more nurturing. That doesn't actually mean that they are. It just means that socially they present themselves as being so. I've never been convinced that women are more nurturing than men, ever. I think that they perhaps do it in a different way than men do, but I don't
Can
think
men
that,
breastfeed?
Well, how do you think men are
hang on.
nurturing?
So I already conceded.
Whoa.
Right? So two things. One, yes, men can lactate, just so you know. But two, right, you probably didn't know that, but yes, they can. That's the grossest shit ever, but yes.
But it has no sustenance.
Two, to this point, I already conceded reproduction as being the only thing a woman can do that a man can't.
But you came from us, so how would
What does
you
that
guys
have to
be
do with
here
anything?
Without our reproduction?
I also came from the reproductive genetic material of my father. Or did you think that women unilaterally got pregnant? Do you think that they unilaterally get pregnant just on their own? They're asexual, snap their fingers and become pregnant, or does it require male genetic material?
Well, why do you disagree that women are more inherently nurturing?
Because when I look at the stats for abuse rates of children and things like this, I used to think all sorts of things. I used to think that men were far more likely to SA than women. It's not true. I used to think that...
Wait, what? Okay, what exact stat is that?
Yeah, well, actually, I can pull them all up.
I'd like to see it.
But if women are at home-
hang on 1 second. okay? This is going to come as a shocking stunner to you, but I'll actually logically demonstrate it. And then what I'm going to do when I'm out having a smoke, I will literally text these to Brian. He can pull them all up on screen so that you can see all of the studies, have them all prepared for this, just for this conversation, in case the day came where it came up. And today is that day.
Wait,
Now,
but
He's
like
been
what
waiting
kind
for
of
it.
essay I'm asking? Is it like in general or is it like a specific kind?
It's even penetrative essay. Yeah, isn't that amazing? So the thing is here's why this occurs. It's because of reporting. So I did not know this, but there's a reclassification for penetrative essay. So if men are not penetrated, it's not counted as essay. And that's insane. That's absolutely fucking insane. So it's just, they just completely don't count it. I couldn't believe it.
So
I
how
was-
did they
I was
gather the
shocked.
data then?
Well, by self-reporting, same way they do with women. And so when they did all these studies of self-reports in colleges all over the place, they found out that men were reporting that they were essayed by women far more than women were reporting they were essayed by men.
What-
It's just that,
what was the
it's
study
just that
done
they
by?
didn't go and make, well, again, I'll pull them all up. I don't remember all of the authors off the top of my head. But yes, this was done and repeated multiple times. So no, I don't believe in this myth. I've never believed in the myth. And here, I can even logically show you. Do you agree with me that things that women consider to be essay are usually overlooked with men? An example of
Yes.
this. If you're at a party and I walked over to, at my age, an 18-year-old girl who was randomly on a couch and started rubbing her shoulders, you would be a fucking creep in essaying the girl, right?
Yeah.
Now take 40-year-old hot mom, comes over to 18-year-old boy on the couch, rubs his shoulders. Probably not a big deal.
I think there's
Hang on.
Okay, go ahead.
Can you concede that that's probably not a big deal?
Yeah, I don't
So
think
why
it's
is
a
one
big
essay
deal.
and one isn't?
No,
It's because of how it's reported.
No, I don't think that this kind of thing is a big deal. I think it's a difference in like when a man essays a woman, like, and I'm not, and like this is like in a vacuum necessarily. So like usually when we're talking about essay, like a man essaying a woman is like a lot more serious.
Why?
Like, well, I'm not talking about, it's hard to say that, like not a man essaying a woman is not more serious, but like, yeah.
So imagine if I was making this claim the other way.
No, I'm not saying.
Just envision
Well,
if I was
yeah,
making the claim the
yeah,
other way.
I would say that's
when
what-
a man essays a woman, that's not a big deal, right? Did
no,
you even
I'm just
imagine that?
no,
that
I'm just
happening?
talking about like women fear. Do you fear women?
Yes.
Whoa, wait. Can
Well,
you just
because-
repeat? Hold on. Repeat your claim.
No.
You said it was, I don't want to misquote you, but you said something along the lines of, it's not as big of a deal?
No, that's not what I meant.
Okay, well, what
really.
did you say? Just repeat what you said.
Okay, so can I rephrase it though?
Repeat what you said, then you can rephrase
Okay,
it.
so I said it's when we're talking about essay, like a lot of the time it is not as like serious when we're talking about like, you know, like
When
like
women
in general.
do it.
Yeah.
Are you talking
Yeah.
about the method of abuse, like physically?
Well, not method. Yeah, that
Wait, does
has
this
to do
apply
with
to
it.
other forms of assault or violence?
Because
Well,
So
I
when
mean,
a-
it kind of goes into it because like you can physically abuse
so any
while
crime
you're
that
sexually.
occurs to a woman is more serious.
It's not
if it
more
occurs-
serious, but it usually impacts more harm. Yeah.
Okay,
by
so
a man.
Here, let me
yeah.
ask you this. So, if a woman if a woman is a victim of a crime, she is impacted more severely than a man.
Usually, yes, because men are biologically stronger.
I see what you're saying. Okay.
Oh,
So-
sorry, guys. So if the chick is really buff,
Well, yeah, if
that's
a
an
girl is
outlier.
really buff and she beats her boyfriend's ass, then yeah, that's an
no,
anomaly.
So
Like
a woman,
I
a
would
woman's
assure you
really
would
buff
agree.
and she gets
Wait,
beat up.
let me ask you this. So
That's going to be less impactful than if she was weak.
So if a man gets shot in the head and a woman gets shot in the head, is there a differential on the impact?
No, because they're not using force; they're using a gun.
That's
That
But
worse.
there
That
is
is
a
force.
differential if a woman gets punched in the
100%
face
force.
versus a man because women have less dense skulls. So
Right,
the-
but both men and women have the same capacity.
They just
to,
mad at us
to
'cause we're better
have
at
the
it?
same injury.
Oh, okay. So do you think men are stronger than women?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
so do you think men will hit harder than women?
Yeah.
okay, so men will hit a woman harder than a woman will hit
Yeah,
a
but
man.
so what? If I were to get into a fight with a really weak guy who started shit, nobody would think twice if I smacked him in the
Yeah,
mouth.
but because that's an anomaly.
Because his skull is less
No,
dense.
it's not an anomaly. Almost every time two men fight, one is significantly stronger than another.
Yeah, it's a generalization. Women
Yeah,
are
a generalization of what is standard. And so this idea
women
that
tend to get
because women happen
concussions
to
more
be
easily.
weaker than men,
There-
almost
it's-
all men
she's
are
right
weaker
here,
than
right
other
there.
men.
It's
But
no.
women do tend to get concussions more easily. So
Here,
even if you're
Austin, just right here. She's right here.
if you're
ahead.
watching like MMA, for example,
Mm-hmm.
you watch the women's fights, even between women on women, they finish much quicker than they do with men because they have less dense skulls, and so they are more susceptible to concussions earlier on as
Okay,
well.
well, let us assume for a moment. Let us assume that men were far more likely to get concussions than women, but were far stronger than women in every other regard, which they are right now. And if they hit them anywhere else, it did way more damage. Okay? Wouldn't you still make the recommendation that because there's a force differential that men didn't hit women? Even if women hit men? Wouldn't you still make the same recommendation? Even if men
Yes,
could
of
get...
course.
Yeah, of course. So the concussion thing doesn't matter. Ultimately,
just
it
was
doesn't
trying to
matter.
clarify what
If
she
we're
was
talking
saying.
about the moral imperative, right? If a woman strikes a man, then she gets hit back. That's the way it works. That's what you get. You know what that does is it teaches women not to hit men.
There's a really good Bill Burr bit on that, by the way.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't think anybody should be hitting anybody. I
that's
think that
great.
There's usually a difference. Like,
I don't think anybody should get cancer,
yeah.
But
like,
they're going to. And so the thing is like, since they're going to, I want to have some kind of reasonable policy and some type of reasonable social policy around how you deal with the fact that because it's going to happen. Women get really mad. They hit men for some reason socially unacceptable for men to hit them back. And
Do you
the
think-
answer to this is, well, it's because they're weaker. And it's like, okay, but every time a man gets in a fight with another man, the other man is also weaker than him most of the time, right?
do
One
you
of them is
think
weaker than the
that
other.
there should be battered men's shelters?
Well, what is a battered woman sheltered exactly?
A woman who was in a domestic violence relationship, and she's in a shelter for safety
Yeah, I would give those to men for different things.
for different. Why?
Yeah, like false essay claims. Right?
But why wouldn't
'Cause
you
he's
give it for
he's
physical
too rich.
abuse?
He's too
Why
rich.
wouldn't you
They
give it
should
for
hide his
physical abuse,
identity. What?
Why wouldn't you give it for physical abuse?
Well, I don't think it would be necessary to do
Why
so.
not?
Because generally speaking, I don't think most men would need that for physical damage.
Okay, so you think that women. Okay, so do you think that men are more physically abusive than women?
No.
So then why? So do you think battered women's shelter should be a thing?
It's fine. You can have a battered women's shelter if you want, I guess, yeah.
But men do cause a lot more damage, is what she's trying to say.
So what?
I think. Well,
You can't get mad at men because they're better at it.
no one's mad. I think she's
No,
just
it's
saying
just
that women.
think about like sports. Like you have different
thinking about
leagues for
sports.
different like.
Yeah, unless somebody puts on a wig.
Well, it's a comparison. Like you have different leagues for different strengths, just like how women and men have different strengths.
Well, then I guess lightweights who take on heavyweights should have a
No,
battered
but
men's
I think
shelter.
she's saying that-
Like, what do you want me to say?
when women are abused, physically abused, they are. It's a lot more detrimental to their physical well-being and health.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I would say that physically, right, they could take the short end of the stick because they're less strong, yes. But that does not mean it's more detrimental. That's
their
where I would
physical
have...
well-being?
Now, hang on. I just conceded that point. Literally just conceded that point.
Wait.
I would say that doesn't mean that it's detrimental, though, over what's going on with the man.
Wait, Andrew, if I may point out, I do believe this is shifting the goalposts here because I believe your original claim was even in the instance where let's assume that the damage caused by a woman onto a man and the damage caused by a man onto a woman, assuming the damage was totally equivalent, your position was still, even with equivalent damage done,
No, it wasn't.
that it's still worse for the woman.
No, I misspoke.
That was your position.
I misspoke then.
So
Yeah,
this
but-
whole argument,
But I'm
over
willing.
who's
But I'm
capable-
willing to just concede it because I don't think it has any merit. Right?
That's not my position.
I'm going to assume this. In fact,
Let me just. Oh, wait.
one second. Hang on.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm going to
This is below
assume
the
this, in
threshold.
fact, that every single time there's a confrontation between a man and a woman, which is physical, that the man's going to overwhelmingly win and the woman's going to get her ass kicked.
Yeah.
Okay, no matter what, in every single circumstance. So what? You hit a man, that's what happens. What's the problem here?
Weren't we talking about SA? How did
And what
this
were we
sound?
talking about before that?
Yeah, but I'd like an answer to.
I'd like
an answer.
I
to the
don't
question.
think that. Okay, I'm just saying. I think that like when there is a physical abuse situation, like if a woman ends up like punching her boyfriend, he is not necessarily going to need to like go to the hospital
what?
because he does. So it doesn't take a physical toll on him.
Yeah,
as
it takes a
much.
physical toll. You're just saying it takes a lesser one.
Yeah, it takes a
My
lesser
question
one.
to you is, what is actually wrong with? What is actually immoral about? What is actually problematic if a woman strikes a man for him to strike her back? What?
Honestly, I don't necessarily think there is
Right.
something wrong there.
Right. So then your whole point here
I
makes
just
no sense, because even if I concede the battered women's shelters, yes, they're going to lose
Well-
every single time they get into a fight with a man. You've just conceded that
But
if
it's
they
a different
strike a
thing.
man,
If you're
it's perfectly
striking him
acceptable.
first, then it's different from him striking you first.
Yeah, but you and I agree that nobody should be striking anybody.
Yeah, exactly.
But we understand that there are women who do strike men. And if they
Yeah.
do that, you don't have anything morally to say about the man hitting her back. Nothing.
So, are you going to say that Cassie shouldn't have maybe pressed charges against Diddy?
For what?
Are we all in agreement that what Diddy did to Cassie was wrong and that is SA? I mean, that's abuse. but
well,
it's
I don't
also,
know
Hold on,
exactly
what
what
is
the details here are.
Like,
well, because I feel like there's some
correlation
kind of
here.
discrepancy here, and it's not being accurately discussed that when a man hits a woman unprovoked without the woman hitting him, then that's wrong. And
Yeah,
just
but
like you're saying,
we-
no one should be hitting each
we
other.
both
I think
agree.
we probably all agree on that.
Yeah, we
so,
both agree.
I mean, he'd be able to do a lot more damage to Cassie than Cassie would have done to him.
Yeah, but so this is where the problem comes in, though, right? It's like, so what? Yes, I get it. The guy's going to do way more damage than the girl, right? But so what? The moral imperative seems like it's the same to me. It just seems like it's exactly the same thing. So it's like,
I
okay,
understand
you're
that.
not.
So we were
you-
talking
it's-
about women being nurturing.
So it's like,
Well, yeah, I
it's
was
immoral
curious
for you to
I
hit
don't think I can
men,
even keep up at this
right?
point.
It's immoral for you to hit men. It's immoral for men to hit you. Great. That's what we've
Yeah.
established.
Why don't you believe in like maternal instincts and women being more nurturing?
Well, I think they have maternal instincts, but
Doesn't that coincide with
Well, what does nurturing mean here? Let's start with that. What does nurture mean?
I think being a natural caretaker, being inclined to take care of children and those in
Yeah,
need.
no, I dispute categorically. When I look at data for single fathers and single mothers, the single fathers seem to be excellent caretakers. The children live in cleaner houses, have better outcomes, they go to prison less. They all sort. I mean, almost every outcome, every metric, they do better.
Do you think that's because usually when the father gets the child, it's because the mother was like a really bad mom? And the
I
father
mean,
is like way better?
No, I think that sometimes they just get them because the mom dies.
Yeah,
You know,
that's like,
it's
that's an
really-
outlier.
Why-
But we can make these comparisons like this, right? So you can follow widows. You can follow men whose wives have died, and then you can follow women whose husbands have died.
Okay, what
and you
stu-
can take
have
a
you
look,
done this,
And
though?
you can no. There's been tons of studies,
Okay.
which have done this, and you can look at the comparisons, and you can see that the outcomes for single fathers in single father homes are better. And here's why. Here's the number one reason why. It's because of men. It's because of women bringing strange men in. They're usually far more likely, if they're not related to the child, to be abusive towards the child. Men who are raising children, they don't have that problem with women.
But this isn't talking about men and women. This is talking about single mothers and single fathers.
So then wouldn't that prove the point that men are more abusive? Not, and I don't care either way, but just because you said earlier that you don't believe
No,
that
it
men are more
proves
abusive.
that men have a force doctrine which can make a deterrence that women can't. Not that they're more abusive, but that women are far less likely to, like, oh, I don't know, do something bad to a man's child because he can really significantly hurt her badly. Right?
But is there a study with like mothers and fathers together that shows? Because like this study
Mothers
is
and
only
fathers
he is
together,
right
that
about the
shows
outcome
what?
of single dads.
well,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
but this
better.
is showing single mothers and single fathers. There might be other like,
Metrics?
yes, there might be like other outside
Yes,
factors
but
affecting
okay,
that.
but here's what my argument was. My argument was no, I'm not willing to concede that more nurturing, if our metric for more nurturing is, I don't know, kid's healthy, kid is clean, kid feels loved, kid feels safe. I feel like that's all things we would agree nurturing is.
Yeah,
and if
but
that,
then
hang on, and if that is the case, and the metrics for all these children is way better under all of those criteria, then how can I make the claim that women are more nurturing?
Because I think that those claims might kind of like mix together with like your idea of what a man should be, because that's like, if a kid is fed, that's like providing. If a kid feels safe,
Feels
that's like
pretty
providing.
nurturing, yeah. Well, what the hell does nurturing mean to you?
Nurturing is like
Typically,
love.
Women tend to put more.
What?
Loved, like
I can tell
You
you,
think
as
a kid
mom,
feels loved when he's dirty?
No, it's not like,
what do you
no, it's
mean?
like words of affirmation. Think of love
I think
languages.
you're probably wrong there, though. Do the studies specifically say that the dads keep the kids more clean? Because if I am just guessing, and I do know that you're right about the stats on this, but if I was to guess the variables involved here, like women do tend to put more pressure on, like we're more neurotic. So we're like, they have to be perfectly clean, they have to be this, and that makes us more stressed, and maybe we're like more bitchy and less caretakey.
But it also creates
men.
multitasking, so you get less of it done, whereas men do singular tasks better. So the thing is I think that men, I think that their basics would be like, okay, you're fed, you're clean, right? You went to school, you didn't fuck up, it was a good day. Right? I really think that it's probably not going to be too much more complex than that. And by the way, it probably doesn't need to be more complex.
But do you think
than
that maybe like a woman's biological drive to be a caretaker, and like, because we definitely have more anxiety when it comes to things like that?
You may have more of a biological drive to be one, but what we're disputing
But
is
it
whether or
could-
not you're better at it.
Yeah.
My dispute here, again, I'll give you my position again. There is not one thing a woman can do that a man can't do equally as good, if not better, but there's multiple things that women cannot do that men can do much better.
So if men could have children, would you date men?
No.
So why? Okay, so then why are you dating women if the only thing they can do better is have children?
What did I
Well, that's
give
a
you?
biological attraction,
What
like,
did I
that's
give
not
you the
here.
criteria here for?
I'm asking you, like, you said that the only. Okay, so why are you with your wife, for example?
You mean the mother of my children?
Yeah, why are you with her?
Because she's the mother of my children and I love her.
Okay, why do you love her?
But for all sorts of different reasons.
Why? Give some examples.
Because she's super smart and she cares a lot about me and she thinks I'm wonderful and et cetera, et cetera,
Okay,
et
there you
cetera.
go.
There I go. What? What are you talking about? How does this demonstrate that women are better
Okay,
at any of these tasks than men?
I can give
don't
you an
get it.
example of women being more
Wait,
nurturing.
you're saying because she has all of those that I should feel like attracted to men
No,
if
because
they have
why?
those?
Okay,
what are you
okay, because
talking
why
about?
wouldn't you be with a man who's better?
Because I don't want to fuck men.
But why don't you want?
Because they're fucking men. What do you mean?
Why not?
Because
You're not
I'm
attracted
not
to them.
a homosexual.
Yeah, you're not attracted to them, exactly. So the only thing that you think women are better at is having children. So you view.
Oh
you
no, I'm
view-
sorry. You're right. There's
Yes.
two things. I guess women are also better at at men wanting to fuck them over other men.
Okay, so you
You win.
So you view
Take
your,
the W.
Okay, no, you view your wife as inferior.
Inferior in many tasks, yes.
Inferior in everything but having kids.
Yeah, she's going to be better than me at having children.
And that's it.
But individually, that doesn't mean that individually women
about to
can't
press
be
on that.
better at some tasks than men. So, for instance, my wife's better at writing than I am, right? She has a book. I don't have a book. She's better at all sorts of things than I am. She's better at complex mathematics than me. She's better at music than I am, right? Sucks at all sorts of other things. This is the ultimate red herring you just gave, which is if your wife is better than you at some tasks, then this somehow equates, because at the individual level this is true, that you can demonstrate that there's tasks which women can generally do that men also cannot do just as well as them. You cannot do that.
I think that
It's fallacious argumentation.
That's fair. I think that men are very good and very bad at things. I think they're the best and the worst at things, and women kind of like fall in the middle. So it's kind of hard to like make that
So then
distinction.
you agree with me that there's nothing you can think of at all which women are better at than men, but there's things you can think of that men are better at than women?
I mean, I would have to honestly.
Is that what you just said?
Well, honestly, like I would have to think about that because I think that they're.
Well, think about it. I'll give you time right now.
So back to
Yeah.
the nurturing point,
Yeah.
if you look at divorce stats, when the other partner gets sick,
Mm-hmm.
the men leave their sick wives at insane rates. So with that, I mean, like you can't say that's more nurturing. Maybe not to a child, but to their partner.
Well,
In
also-
that regard, women are definitely.
Well, I'm
proven
not
to be more
familiar
nurturing.
with exactly what studies that you're looking at, right? And this could have something to do with how long they've been there. If there was, because women could be more likely, for instance, to conceal sicknesses. They could be more likely, for instance, to conceal certain things which have been going on, which led to certain sicknesses. So there's justification. I don't know because I'm not familiar with the stats that you're citing. There could be all sorts of reasons for this, which have nothing to do with nurturing, but have to do with justification.
Also, careers that
You should
lend
look it up and then
themselves
circle
to
back at some
nurturing-
point.
We should do that, and I'll take a look at the study. Sure.
Careers that lend themselves to nurturing and caretaking, like nursing and teaching, do have a much higher
No,
rate of female
hospital.
worker.
They do. I agree. Hospitals are absolutely begging for male nurses, and they're begging like you can't believe for them because they want physically strong men to be able to move patients
But why don't they choose to go into that if they're more nurturing?
because they can make a lot more money doing other things.
Okay, so they're not passionate
not
about
very
being
interested
nurturing.
in- they're
Women
not
are okay. So why don't
particularly
Women
at
can
it.
make a lot of
Yeah,
money
women
doing
can
other
make-
things
What?
too, and they
no,
don't
no.
choose
See,
to.
see.
They
this
don't
is-
have a propensity.
Hang on.
For,
This is where we're going to have some disputes. No, they can't. They're not going to go do roofing. They're not going to go do trade
but-
work.
okay,
They're not
but-
going to go be rocket ship engineers.
Yeah,
they're not
not
going to do any of that
laborers.
shit. They're going to do the exact same shit that they've been doing for 2,000 years, which is nursing, teaching, and serving your
they can go
beverages.
to medical school. They can.
They go to medical
any of
school
this-
to be nurses
why don't they go to
Fertility
business
rates
school?
are going down in men.
Why don't they go to business school
because
instead
they're
of
not
doing
interested
nursing?
in having businesses.
There are higher rates
okay, but
of
they do.
graduation.
But why, okay,
I mean,
but why are they more
but they
interested in?
don't.
Okay, I'm
really,
asking.
they're
Wh-
really not that
Why
interested
are they
in
more
it.
interested in nursing and teaching than in business and STEM?
Because there's an application of what can be done.
I think they also have a
Can
higher
be
propensity
done.
for nurturing
Yeah.
and caretaking.
No, I think it's a limitation on what is possible. What is possible for most women? I don't think
But
most
women
women.
are- it is
hang on, I'll
possible for
answer to
women to
this.
go into medical
I
school.
don't think most women can do roofing. Do you agree or
No,
disagree?
I don't think so.
Okay, you hang
But
on.
that's
you,
a
hang on,
specific
hang on.
example.
I don't think most women can be indoor electricians. I don't think most women can do that. Do you agree or disagree?
I agree.
I don't think most women can be plumbers.
But those are all labor jobs.
Yeah, so is nursing. Nursing's a labor job.
Side
No.
note, but
But
this is also
women
the
can
reason
go
for the
into
gender pay
STEM.
gap.
What's
And
that?
there are higher rates of graduation rates for women right now than
That's
there are for
always
men.
been the case, even since literally the dawn of the nation. It's always been the case that women had higher graduation rates. Always been the case that they have higher graduation rates. That's never not been the case.
But what I'm
because
saying is-
because physical labor is available to men. That's
But what
why.
I'm saying is they can go into careers that will be more lucrative.
They can, but they don't. They don't
because
want
they
to.
have a higher propensity for jobs that include
Yeah,
nurturing
maybe
and
they want to
caretaking.
go into that because that's where they're wired to, but that still wouldn't demonstrate.
Okay, so that's where they're
hang on,
wired to.
But they still wouldn't demonstrate that they're more so X. So let us pretend for a second, let us assume for a second that we knew immediately that both of us were wired for the same exact amount of empathy. We knew this, right? But you were limited in what the scope was of jobs that you could or couldn't have, and I wasn't. I wasn't. So out of all the ones that you had, you went, oh, well, you know what? I'm pretty high up in empathy, so I think I'll be a nurse because I would really like to do that. I may also have really liked to do that, but I had all of these other jobs available to me to go do those instead, so I went and picked one of those that I liked even more than nursing. So the thing is like, even if that's true, in this comparison, it would not demonstrate at all that women are more nurturing because they choose the nursing. It wouldn't
I see
demonstrate
what you're saying.
that.
So you think that women have high nurturing compared to like intelligence, like their relative intelligence. Okay.
From their
Okay,
relative
that's
position.
fair
yeah.
enough.
Yeah, I think so, but I don't think that their capacity for it supersedes that of men. I've
Okay.
never thought this.
I will agree to disagree.
I've never
then.
thought. By the way,
disagree.
but based on what? Show me, logically demonstrate for me how
There isn't really,
it's true.
because there isn't really like a study that can be done, because the studies that you're showing me aren't necessarily like demonstrating nurturing. Like that can be demonstrating, like you said, like
How do you demonstrate it?
I mean, it's like it would be hard to demonstrate it through research. I think it's like, look at like animals, for example,
Well,
like
it's
how
also-
they treat their young, like how they treat their offspring. Like usually
Yeah.
it's the mom taking
So
care
in-
of the baby.
But in animals, I would argue that's a mechanism. These are mechanisms, not
I think-
intuitive, rational decisions.
Are we not
I think
animals?
it's instinct as well for when a
Yeah, I think it's the
woman
same
gives
for
birth
humans.
to take care of her child.
Stop. Hey, hold on. You've been talking a bunch. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I think it's instinct as well when a woman gives birth to be nurturing and caretaking of her child.
I agree that women have mechanisms for nurturing, but women also have higher faculties for reason. They can offset feelings and emotion also with reason. They have higher intelligence than animals do.
Yeah.
So just saying that, well, okay, their biology kicks in. There's also a downside with this that men don't have, for instance, like postpartum depression, where moms terminate their children, terminate themselves. All sorts of chemicals get released, which cause significant damage towards the kid. It's like, I'm still not even willing to concede that even the day baby born, all that chemicals are released into mommy, that this means that they're going to be a more nurturing parent than the father. I'm just unwilling to concede this unless it's demonstrated to me logically or otherwise. There's
I
just
think
no
also,
way.
like,
I'm not going to do it.
by which you're, deciding that a baby's needs are met or a child's needs are met, like just like the basic necessities. I think there's also emotional support as well that is oftentimes provided more by the mother than the father.
Yeah, I dispute that. So I think that women really put an overemphasis on femininity when it comes to child rearing, and they really shouldn't. In fact, I think that they indulge children far too much. I think that they spoil them far too much. I think that they give in to their emotional demands far too much. And I would say that's counterintuitive, in fact, to caretaking and to nurturing. I think that's counterintuitive to it.
Well,
that's why you see single moms with these big fat kids, for instance. It's because they overindulge, let them have the sweets.
Okay, but also that's why a lot of us are single moms, because the mother overindulged her son and like enabled his bullshit, and then now he doesn't know how to like
correct
properly function.
So the
with
thing is like
responsibility.
I consider these things. No, I don't think that that's because you do these kind of overindulgences that's actually nurturing. When I think of nurturing, I think of this, right? When you leave, you're equipped to deal with the world. You're equipped to deal with the world. That's nurturing. Anything else you tell me external to that, right, is going to be counterintuitive, because if it's not preparing them to do well in the world, then what?
Well,
then how's it nurturing?
Here's where I'll agree with you.
Intelligence is a thing too.
Here's where I'll agree with you with a caveat. I think the thing that women are better than men at doing is manipulation. And that's why you see so many female executives at the top. That's why you see the CIA hiring. You see the CIA hiring more women. There's honeypots. Women can manipulate, and they can actually make.
Stop. Let her finish.
They can
Go
actually
ahead.
make men think that something's their idea when it's really the woman's idea. That's why you see divorces happen when there's someone that comes in to try to like basically Jezebel spirit him to try to make him, come to her. So I agree with you that maybe women aren't as nurturing, but if you want to talk about preparing kids to be out in the world, some successful single mothers do a good job because they teach their kids how to be analytical, how to predict things before they happen, and how to prepare yourself for adversity. That
is the biggest load of horse shit that I've ever heard. Let me dispute all of this one at a time. First of all, no, they're not better at manipulation. Part of manipulation is strategy. The best strategists in the world are men. They're men. And you can't be a great strategist unless you understand the machinations of the enemy. You can't understand the machination of the enemy if you can't understand manipulation. So no, they're still.
Brian's over here like, oh no, women are better.
So I'm still going to give even.
Yeah, I kind of disagree.
I'm still even going to give manipulation to men. I think that men are the better spies. I think that men are even better at manipulation. When you're talking seduction, right? I still don't even think that they have the market on seduction. I think that men will just fuck them, but they would fuck them anyway. I think if you told them you were a spy, they'd still do it, right? Because they just want to.
You know what? I'll tell you, your wife's probably a genius.
Right? So the thing is, but backing it up from there, if you're talking about kind of out in the world, I would love to know how you think single moms better prepare their children.
I didn't
for the world than dads.
I didn't say that they are the only ones that do. I said the successful single moms who have to be in that situation that aren't necessarily nurturing in the feminine way that you're talking about, where they might coddle, they might give them tough love and say, listen, this is the way the world is, and this is how I'm going to prepare you.
Well, then they'd be taking on more masculine roles. Because, right? And you still wouldn't have demonstrated they're more nurturing, only that they're more masculine.
Well, in regards to how you describe nurturing, where they're more equipped to deal with the world, because I can tell you, because I have to do both roles, I'm far less coddling and I'm more kind of like strict, and this is what you need to have the skills to have people like you, which is important to socially integrate and things of that nature, which Peterson talks about. But you're definitely right. Because we have to play both roles, how you describe nurturing, we can be more prone to being that type of nurturing, as opposed to oh, I'm at home, I don't have to worry about anything, I can just be in a good mood and
I'll
not really
just grant that it's so that you can do this. This still would not demonstrate that women are better or more equipped for it than men. So again, my initial argument would still stand that there's a whole slew of shit that I can point out that men are way better at than women, but I don't think women can point out a damn thing.
If women are not better, then why are fertility rates going down in men? And by 2070, I think the world's
going down to women,
population-
too.
Microplastics.
No, not as much as men.
Oh no, just as much. In fact, let's take a look.
Hail and well met. Lol
Oh, hey, Lol
Paladins donated
Paladins.
$200
Thank
and
you, man.
2 cents. Disagree with Andrew about men being better at everything. Women are better narcissists than men. Women are better emotional manipulators than men. Women are better liars than men. Women are better.
Well, listen, I'm just going to point this out, Lowell Paladins, very quickly, and you're going to send another super chat agreeing with me. With training, men would even be better at all of those things. So, anyway, back to this.
Thank you, Law Paladins.
Right, back to this and these ideas. You were saying? Sorry.
Just saying how fertility rates in men are going down
Yeah, they're going down in women
Yeah.
too. You know why? Because women are getting
Yeah.
married at 31, 32.
due to like the food,
Nope.
chemicals.
No, it's just because you're getting married at 31, 32. And
Okay, we
you're,
can't say it's just because of that. Come on, microplastics are definitely proven
Sure,
to
sure, but I'm
contribute.
okay.
Yeah.
Sure, everything's a fucking correlate. The oxygen in the plant, the oxygen in the air, that's a correlate somehow. I'm sure, but you have strong correlates, you have weak correlates. So let me just give you the strongest correlate. At 32 years old, you've left behind most of your childbearing years. Yeah. Yeah.
You're 35, yeah.
No, well, 32.
32.
Yeah, your most fertile years, what, 18, 19 through about
Yeah.
20, 27, 28? They're all gone. Behind you, right? So they have 1, 2 kids. That's about it. So that's, I mean, to say that female fertility is not drastically decreasing is absurd. It's not because it needs to. It
Well, a lot
just
of women
is.
don't want to have kids,
Yeah.
like nowadays too.
Yeah, so that would be a great reduction in fertility.